Hello, everybody. My name is Betty Smith. Welcome to the Complete Commander stream. Today I am going to be doing a deck tech on my Monowhite Golos deck. I've had quite a few people ask me about it, so I figured I'd do a deck tech and kind of walk through how I put it together. So hopefully you guys will find it interesting. I did want to give a little bit of a background in that I wanted to kind of explain how this deck came about. So anyway, for quite a few years I had an Aurelia deck, and the Aurelia deck was fun, but it was kind of clunky, and I couldn't get it to be very consistent. Sometimes it had great games, sometimes it just didn't do much of anything. And hey, streaming and weebin, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Let me give you a arena code. There you go. So anyway, so I had an Aurelia deck for quite a while, and I wasn't entirely happy with it, so I decided to take it apart. And I took some of the deck and turned it into a Tanya deck, the Boros angel that deals with equipment. And so I had a lot of angels in that deck. I had a lot of equipment synergies, and it was pretty cool. But I also had some problems with it being kind of clunky, and so eventually I kind of got rid of the red altogether and made a Teshar deck, which was also pretty cool. There was some graveyard recursion strategies in it, but I didn't go the combo route, and apparently every other Teshar deck has some kind of infinite combo in there, so I kind of felt like I was purposely dumbing down the deck for no good reason. Plus, it was kind of clunky too, and I had some issues with it, so I was sort of flummoxed as to what to do with that deck. So also at the same time, when Core Set 2020 came out, I built a Golos deck because I really wanted to have a deck with all the have a bunch of cool land synergies across all 5 colors, and the deck was just obnoxiously powerful. It was just pretty relentlessly overpowered, and it was stomping everything. Even if I tried to play down the deck, I just quickly got unhappy with it. So I was sort of having a problem with my Teshar deck, and I was also not happy with the Golos deck, and I didn't want to retire Golos completely because I was kind of excited for some land shenanigans. And so one day it occurred to me, why don't I sort of merge the decks? So I would use Golos to kind of give my mono white deck some power to it, some consistency. It kind of gives you some ramp. It gives you some late game inevitability. And then meanwhile, I could play all the cool white cards that I kind of wanted to play anyway. So anyway, I kind of put the two together and built this deck, and I've been pretty happy with how it turned out. So I figured I'd kind of go over some of the stuff here. So of course it's a Golos deck, so the star of the show are the lands, and so I just kind of want to go over some of the lands that I play in here. I've got Diamond Valley, which is a card that I've had since Arabian Nights. So I know it's kind of absurdly priced these days, but I have it in my collection. This is a great deck to have it in. So there's that. I've also got Dark Depths and Thespian Stage, so I can assemble that combo obviously with Golos fairly easily if I draw either side of it. I've also got some ways to slow down attackers, there's the classic Maze of Ith. There's also Corehaven and Labyrinth of Scopos. So I can help to slow maybe a Voltron commander and deal with that kind of stuff there. Then I've got some white lands, white utility lands. There's Windbrisk Heights and Castle Ardendale and Ganjo Castle. Also Emiria, the Sky Ruin, which is pretty sweet with plenty of plains. Of course, I've got Field of the Dead because that's just a very powerful card, and obviously Golos decks that's kind of one of the ways that they crank out wins is relentless onslaught of zombies. I've got Arcane Lighthouse in case anybody steals, or if I'm trying to get rid of someone's hexproof or shroud, I can take it down with Arcane Lighthouse. Blast Zone is a way of mopping up some cards that I might not otherwise be able to mop up. Sanctum of Eternity is obviously pretty good with Golos. You can bounce back your hand and then replay it and get another trigger. Mirror Pool is an old favorite of mine. You can use it to copy a spell, or you can use it to copy a creature. One favorite thing I like to do with Mirror Pool is if someone's going to kill Golos, in response, I can go ahead and copy it with Mirror Pool, and then Golos dies to the legend trigger, goes to my command zone, and then I go I get another trigger from the token, the copy token. So that's kind of fun. Tower of the Magistrate is a great card to fight against decks that play a lot of equipment strategies. And Vesuva is a copy of any land that I already have in play that I want to get some extra use out of. I've also got Dust Bowl and Drownyard Temple, and they'll kind of feed each other if you have enough mana, so you can destroy multiple problem lands that your opponents might be playing. And then I've got Manascape Refractor, which you can use to any of the special land abilities you have, you can kind of use it with the Manascape Refractor. So I figured that would be obviously a pretty powerful part of this sort of deck. Alright, another part of the deck that I like is the Angel theme, kind of ported over. It's not Angel Tribal, but I do have a lot of angels in here that are fun. So there's Archangel Avacyn, which obviously you can't normally play in a mono-white deck, so that's nice to have. I've got Bruna and Gisela, which meld into a big Eldrazi Angel Horror, which is kind of cool. I've got Linvala, Keeper of Silence, to sort of slow down decks that rely too much on powerful activated abilities. I've got Sublime Archangel, which is one I really like. If you need to play a defensive game and you have quite a few creatures out blocking, you can use Sublime Archangel's ability to give everything exalted, so you can attack with just one giant creature, preferably an angel, I guess, through the air, and then but still keep your defenses, keep your defenses up. All right, Streamin' and Weebin asked in the chat, how long do you I guess keep a deck together before deciding to try and tweak things again? Well, to answer your question, I basically am constantly tweaking my decks. just kind of depends. When there's new cards that come out, a lot of times I try to make room for them in decks that I already have, so I make some cuts. And just my experience playing the deck over time, I get to get a sense of what's working and what maybe is not pulling its weight. So when a new card comes along, I can swap out cards that aren't doing all that great for something that might be a little bit more powerful or at least a little bit more interesting. All right, so back to the angels. Got Angel Finality, which nukes a graveyard. It's great fun to hit a Muldrotha player with that. Got Lyra Dawnbringer, which is sort of the main Angel tribal synergy here in this deck, along with their cousin Baneslayer Angel. And then I've got Twilight Shepherd and Addarkar Valkyrie for a little bit of protection from mass removal. Funny story about Addarkar Valkyrie. I remember playing with this card after it came out in Cold Snap many years back, and not realizing that you could use this on your opponent's creatures. So if your opponent has a really large creature that you would like to have on your side of the battlefield, if you can have it, once it gets destroyed, you can target it with its ability, and then you get to take the card. So that's kind of cool. All right, so those are the angels. All right. So anyway, I'll go here for some more creatures. I've got some other creatures that aren't angels, but are pretty solid creatures all on their own. Hey, Chris, Thromo King, welcome to the chat. I'm doing a Monowhite Golos, my Monowhite Golos deck tech. So thanks for stopping by, Chris. I will give you an arena code. There you go, sir. Anyway, Golos I know is going to attract a lot of attention because Golos is very powerful. So one of the things I like to do in decks where your commander is pretty focal, which is most of my decks, is to have plenty of creatures that your opponents are going to want to pinpoint removal to, so that hopefully your commander won't soak up all that pinpoint removal from your opponent. So Monastery Mentor, it's obviously very powerful and feared, even though I don't really have a lot of non-creature spells in here. I mean, I have some, but it tends to get people kind of worked up. So, I mean, I do have equipment and various non-creature spells in the deck, so I can kind of generate some. It's mostly to generate sort of chump blockers. So, Thromo King asks, did one of the guys play Mono White Golos on Commander Versus? Can't remember if it was your list or Charles. No, Suarez loves playing your list on the show. I don't know if they played my list or not. I'll have to poke around and see. It's probably not my list because I don't think I've actually published this list anywhere. So it's probably not it probably wasn't my list. All right, let's see. I also got Heliod, Sun Crowned. I've got Matter Reshaper. I've got God Eternal Oketra. And I've got this little spicy card, Oracle Invec. This card reads, target opponent, it taps, and it says, target opponent chooses any number of creatures he or she controls. During that player's next turn, those creatures attack if able, and no other creatures can attack. At the end of that turn, destroy each of those creatures that did not attack. Use this ability only during your turn. So the idea here is to get some intelligence from your opponents, basically make them commit to attacking to attacking ahead of time. So I figured it'd be kind of fun in here. Sort of annoying, so people will probably try to kill it with pinpoint removal, which is okay. Also got Daxos Blessed of the Sun. Mainly in here because it is foily. I happened to crack a foily one, so I thought it looked cool and decided to put it in there. Eldrazi Displacer, which is pretty crazy powerful. Got Thalia Heretic Cathar. That definitely tends to grab some people's removal spells out their quiver. I've got Selfless Spirit, which will protect your team, giving them indestructible until the end of the turn if you need to. And I've got Mirage Mirror, which every time I think about Mirage Mirror, it feels like it's overpriced a bit. Like you've got to invest 5 mana before it ever really does anything. But every time I've played it and had the opportunity to activate it once, it just pays for its slot. It's just always overperformed. So I definitely kind of wanted it in this deck too. I mean, you can copy a land, artifact, creature, or enchantment. It's pretty sweet. All right. So those are some of the creatures that are just sort of some value creatures that can amaze and annoy your opponents. Throma King points out, if anyone happens to be playing mana doubling enchantments, Mirage Mirror becomes absolutely disgusting. That is true. All right. Staying on the... Let's see. Let's go over here to my removal spells. I've got Generous Gift, which is a good all-purpose removal spell. I've got Giant Killer in here mostly because I've got the special frame one that I thought looked kind of cool. Your classic Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Wrath of God, Settle the Wreckage, Duplicant, Allay, War Priest of Thune, and then the classic 1-2 punch of Return to Dust and Crush Contraband. So anyway, I like to put Allay in a lot of my decks where possible, just because there's a lot of really super powerful and annoying enchantments that people play in Commander, and I like to try to blow them all up if I can. All right, I got some interaction here, or what I tend to call interaction with your opponents. So Mother of Runes and Giver of Runes and Cliffside Rescuer kind of messes with people by being able to give creatures or other things with Cliffside Retreat. Rescuer, you can give protection, which is kind of nice. I've also got a Sun Cleanser in here to reset people's experience counts if they're playing a commander with experience counters. It can also remove somebody's +1/+1 shenanigans, which is nice. And I've got Field of Ruin to destroy a land. I've also got Teferi's Protection, which is just an all-star commander card. And then for some graveyard removal, I've got Remorseful Cleric, Soul Guide Lantern, and Scavenging Grounds. Alright, well, let me get to the... So, obviously a lot of my stuff here is all... I call it Monowhite Golos, but there is some colored stuff in here. So I decided to add a few ways to make all 5 color mana, because you want to be able to activate Golos's ability, and since we're already going to be getting the 5 color mana, I figured I could also take advantage of some of the other cards that you can put into a quote-unquote white deck, like Kenrith and Sisay, Weatherlight Captain, along with Obelisk of Valera and Legacy Weapon. So these are all pretty nice late game cards that can take your mana advantage from Golos and press on towards victory, hopefully. I know Obelisk of Valera's abilities are rather small, but like they aren't super powerful, especially compared to Kenrith, but I happen to have an old foil pre-release one from, what was that, February 2009. I figured this would be a deck to throw it in. I've also got Tome of Legends. This was my stack of some card advantage or some card draw stuff. I mean, the Golos already has that sort of built in, but I figured I'd add some other things too. Tome of Legends is a great card. Golos is going to probably leave the battlefield and come into the battlefield quite often, so Tome of Legends will probably draw some cards. Scroll Rack is another good one, especially with Golos' ability, fetching lands. You can use Scroll Rack to kind of get rid of some cards that you're not really using and try to get some new fresh cards, and then you can shuffle away the other cards with Golos. Got a nice shiny Judge Foil Crucible of Worlds. This seems like a perfect place to stick it. Also got a shiny Sun Titan, which is just a great value engine. And then I've got a few cycling lands to kind of, if you get too cluttered with drawing lands, you can always kind of cycle these away instead of playing them. But if you need them early, they're there to play. And then there's Arch of Varaska for some additional card draw. One thing that's interesting that I thought I'd point out, yeah, Chris, I know you like your shinies, so that Judge Foil Crucible is a very cool looking card, for sure. One thing I wanted to point out, speaking of Crucible, is that those lands from Zendikar Rising that are spells on one side and lands on the other, I think once I get my hands on some of those, I'll probably put some of them in this deck, because you can play them as a spell, and then with Crucible you can play it as a land from the graveyard. So that's kind of neat. Alright, also have a Stoneforge Mystic and a few pieces of equipment that might want to pitch, use it to get different stuff. So happen to have a promo foil Stoneforge Mystic, so I figured I'd throw that in here too. And then of course a lot of the usual suspects. Skull Clamp is a classic, great card. Shadow Spear is a new classic, great card. And then I've got nice foil alt art Blackblade Reforged, and then Sword of Sinew and Steel. I purposely did not put a Sword of Feast and Famine in this deck because it's already, I mean, it's a Golos deck. I'm already kind of obnoxiously powerful just naturally with the commander, and I didn't want to go completely overboard. So that was my little bit of restraint that I added in there. I do still like Sword of Sinew and Steel, just as a way to destroy planeswalkers or an artifact with it. And then we have a little bit of mana ramp. I didn't really go hog wild on the mana ramp cards because Golos himself provides so much mana ramp. But I did, of course, have Soul Ring. I've got Mind Stone and Solemn Simulacrum. So Chris asks, have you found the Sword of Sinew and Steel to carry its weight? I have very rarely drawn it. Obviously, I don't usually go searching for it with the Stoneforge Mystic, but the couple of times where I've played it, I've been happy with it. Usually, not a whole lot of people play Planeswalkers in the commander circles that I play with, but it is kind of nice to be able to destroy a Planeswalker. You know, there's a few of them out there that are kind of super obnoxious, and the artifact half of the trigger is pretty much always live, like you said. Which I think is perfectly fine. Being able to destroy an artifact each attack step seems well worth the slot to me. Especially destroying other people's equipment. And that is pretty much it, other than some foily planes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I got 15 foily planes. I'm sure Chris is proud of me with all those foil lands. And I didn't even hunt those down either. I just happened to have some of them here and there and just decided since I'm playing a Golos deck, Monowhite, I should probably just play all my foil planes. Okay, so Chris still had to complain. Mismatched basics. Hey, they're all foil, man. Come on. Don't I get credit for that? I even have one from Mercadian Masks. Isn't that cool? All right. And that is my Monowhite Golos deck. Anyway, it's a fun deck. It is kind of higher powered, so I usually will only bring it out if other people are playing fairly high-powered decks too. I mean, not necessarily CEDH level or even the top tier of regular Commander. But, you know, if people are breaking out, you know, something like Estrid or Tulane or something like that, I'll happily bring out the Golos Tireless Pilgrim deck. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for me. I hope that y'all enjoyed the deck tech. And thanks for coming out. I appreciate you coming by to chat, and hope you had some fun. I will see y'all later on. Have a good night. Oh, let me, before I go, let me throw up my links to other content that I have. If you don't already follow me on Star City Games, please go check out my stuff. If you aren't a subscriber of Star City Premium, you can still read all content on Star City Games after it's been up a week. So if you think about it, the premium cost just kind of gives you a sneak peek into product, into the content that you love. So go check out my stuff, and I've got tons of content for Commander there. Also follow me on Twitter, where I always like to chat about Commander and Brawl and Magic in general. And also check me out on YouTube, where I upload a lot of my videos after I stream there. And anyway, thanks for coming out. Have a good weekend.